Hi, and welcome to this episode of John's Motorcycle Rescue and Review. Alright guys, I've got another fun one for you. This time we are looking at 4 recent Honda projects that I have worked on and had here at the shop. I have restored quite a few classic motorcycles over the years. As we go through these bikes, I'll talk about my personal history with each of these machines, and then I'll include some ride video for each model so you can kind of get a sense for what these are like to ride out on the road. I have previously reviewed each of these bikes on this channel, and if you want to see a more in-depth review where I go over the specs of the bike and I do a ride portion with some ride commentary, you can click the link that appears with each bike as I go through it. The first bike up here is Honda's 1980 Hawk CB400 T. This was also called the CB400 Superdream in Europe. I actually purchased this bike in January of 2024 at a motorcycle show, and I have subsequently gone through it from front to back. It was a non-runner when I bought it, so I cleaned the carburetors, I went through the braking system and rebuilt that. I brought this bike back to life and restored it to excellent running condition. One of the things that I did when I was going through it was to up the size of the main jets by 1 size and of the pilot jets by 2 sizes. That really improved the cooler weather running performance of this motorcycle. Let's check it out and see how it goes down the road.
Very nice. For a small displacement machine, this really picks up nicely. I'm surprised actually. And this thing would be an absolute blast on a very tight back road with lots of corners. Oh, that's fun.
The next bike up here is Honda's beautiful 1975 CB550 Four Super Sport. This motorcycle actually belongs to my friend Bill. I had this bike at the shop for a couple of days checking out a few things, and Bill let me do a review on it and a comparison with Suzuki's GS550, so you definitely want to check out those videos on my Honda CB550 playlist. Honda's Super Sport line of motorcycles were really some of the first dedicated sport-oriented models to come out of Japan. These bikes were based heavily on their standard models and didn't really differ a whole lot. One of the main differences was the 4-into-1 exhaust systems that a lot of these Super Sport machines featured. This one's just a beautiful little bike, and it was a treat to feature it on this channel. Let's see how it rides out on the road.
And there's that lovely sound. Oh yeah. Now this isn't my bike, so I'm not, you know, revving it to the moon. But just even at that pace, it's so enjoyable. Very smooth, very, very refined. I love it.
Next up is Honda's 1979 CB750 K. I purchased this bike in January of 2022 as a non-runner. It was a low mileage example with only 6,000 original miles on it. Since it was a non-runner, I had to go through the carbs and get those set up properly. I had to go through the brake system and get that updated. I installed some steel braided brake lines on this bike. I also put the MGO fairing on it, and I pinstriped the fairing to match the rest of the bike. And I really like the way this motorcycle turned out. Turned out very, very nicely. The 1979 CB750 K was the first dual overhead cam CB750. It was also the first 16-valve CB750. One area where this generation of CB750 was a vast improvement over the original is in the handling department, and the CB750 K really handled very nicely. I have a full playlist of this CB750 K where I go through the process of restoring it. I've also featured this in comparison videos and a nice review video as well. If you're interested in this bike, those are good resources to check out. Let's see how she sounds out on the road.
And that does a very nice pickup once the revs get up.
The final bike in this video is Honda's 1982 CB900 Custom. I purchased this bike in September of 2020, and I bought it as a non-runner. I subsequently went through it from front to back. I went through the carburetors. I also made sure that the jetting was properly set up for the 4-in-1 Mac exhaust that's on it. I installed steel braided brake lines on this motorcycle as well. And once I had this bike set up properly, it ran very, very well. One of the unique features of the CB900 Custom is its dual range high and low transmission. It has a 5-speed transmission in it with 2 ranges, giving a total of 10 forward speeds. The reality is it basically functions like a 6-speed gearbox with a little bit of added complexity. The CB900C was a very nice riding bike, a very nice handling bike, and among the big bore Japanese cruisers, the CB900 Custom had the best sorted stock suspension. Let's see what she sounds like out on the road.
nice pull out of the corner.
Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. For me, this was a really fun trip down memory lane, looking back at several of the recent motorcycle projects that I have done. As always, I hope you found this video entertaining and informative, and until next time, enjoy the ride.